airport. This is not.
Skip the second T. So I wanted to boast that we had great weather today, but we had a huge snowstorm. So it's been pretty terrible here too. And
I was
again,
hoping to impress you with my Toronto
you did. I was pretty
pronunciation.
impressed. Yeah, you skipped the second T. No one says it if you're actually from Toronto. But yeah, friendly Canadian neighbor over here. So my background is in GIS. I'm sure that most of you are a lot smarter at it than I am though, because I'm just the salesperson here. But if it's specifically about Avenza products, I'm going to know the answer. And if I don't, then I've got a whole support team here to help me out. My contact information is going to be on the last page. So if you have any specific questions that I can't take on in this meeting, just shoot me an email and I'll be able to get an answer for you. So again, we're a pretty small company. We've actually grown throughout the pandemic. So it's been an interesting year. I'm sure everyone can probably say the same, but we are based in Toronto. We have some people living all over Canada and then one person in the States. So we've got a little footprint here. And then I'm a sales associate. And then I wanted to talk about our 3 products, and I'm gonna land on the Avenza Maps, which is our mobile app. So the first 2 logos you see there, Map Publisher and Geographic Imager, that is our desktop product. So we have 2 of those. So Map Publisher is a plugin for Adobe Illustrator. Geographic Imager is a plugin for Adobe Photoshop. And then our mobile app works on iOS and Android devices. So that works on your phone, your tablet, whatever you take out into the field with you. So they are pretty different products, but what we strive to do is to create the whole solution for our customers. So a bit about what I'm going to go over today. I'm going to talk about Avenza Systems, who we are, what our goals are, what we strive to achieve, and how much we rely on customer inputs to drive our development. I'm going to talk about our platform, our products, so the 3, so Map Publisher, Geographic Imager, Avenza Maps, and then Avenza Maps Pro. So that's for our professional users. And then I'm going to specifically talk about search and rescue efforts and how Avenza Maps is used and can be used in those situations. And then hopefully I'll have time at the end to go over what 3 words, which is kind of the newest and greatest solution to the address problem. So our mission is pretty simple. Our mission is to create and make beautiful maps available to anyone that wants it. So we want to kind of be the whole solution, one-stop shop. We want to be able to give our customers access to the creative side of cartography, as well as sort of the GIS side, where you want to do data manipulation and still retain those spatial features. So Avenza Maps is kind of old. We're 25 years old, so we're not this new person on the block. We've been around for a while, kind of on the ground floor of GIS. And what we've been doing is, I guess our desktop products were kind of the birth of Avenza. We listened to our cartographer friends, and what they realized is that they were kind of going from a GIS into Adobe Illustrator. And then they were having to go back and forth as they realized that they were missing information, or they wanted to change something, or they had additional data to add. They were going back and forth, and they were losing the spatial referencing when they were doing that. So what we realized is, why don't we make it all in one product? So Map Publisher became sort of that brainchild, where we realized that our customers wanted to do it all in one product. And then Geographic Imager came along, and that was a raster-based environment. So when you're doing color corrections, you're creating color ramps, you want to do some hill shades, you can do that all within Geographic Imager. And then Map Publisher is our vector world. So points, lines, areas, we have a pretty cool text editor. And then if you have to do any heavy GIS lifting, or you want to do a lot of data manipulation, then we've got an FME Auto plugin. So if you've got any safe products that you want to connect, you want to do some bulk imports and bulk geoprocessing, you're going to do that outside of Map Publisher, outside of Adobe Illustrator, and then you'll bring that data in, and you can even set up some automation. And then our app was built out of, basically our customers came back to us and they said, maps as an industry, cartography, creating paper maps, it's a dying breed. It's difficult to make beautiful maps and to sell it to customers, because basically we're moving into this digital age where everyone has Google Maps on their phone. They're using their mobile devices to get around. They're no longer relying on big paper maps that you have like in the backseat of your car. You want to be able to pull it up on your phone and know where you are. So this was kind of the brainchild of our customers. They came to us and they said, we want to make our maps available to within this digital format. And we said, you know what, we're going to make a product for you. So what we did is we went and created Avenza Maps. And since then, it's become so much more than that. We've brought it past just making it kind of like a map repository. So the map store. You can put your maps on this platform. It's kind of like Amazon, where people can go through, pick and order their maps, and then it is retrieved on your device within the Avenza Maps app. It's become a wayfinding. It's completely offline. You can do data collection. You can pair it up with different software, different hardware. You can get down to sub-centimeter, sub-inch accuracy, and then you can use it for a wide variety of uses. We have foresters, hunters, hikers. We have analysts that are doing sample sites when you're going into ponds and you're sampling down to the tiny accuracy, because you have to go and replicate that same project 2 months later. So it's a wide variety of demographics that we can reach with this app, because everyone uses maps. So it's pretty exciting. And then, so our platform, as I mentioned, we want to be the whole solution. We want to be able to ensure that you can go from start to finish within a project with all of our tools. So depending on where you start on this chart, if you start with the raw data and you want to create a map and then make it available to the public, you can go that way, or you can start with the app with a publicly available map, collect some tracks, go on a walk, plot some photos, pump it back into your data repository, and then make a map based off that. So it means that you can kind of go from any end of this sort of loop, and you'll still end up with a beautiful product. So usually what you would have is a data manager, a GIS technician, a cartographer, and a field tech working together. But if you're savvy enough and you're willing to take on a project, you can do all of them within the Avenza Systems suite of tools. So because we're Canadian, we play nice with others, we are friendly, and so we accept file formats from a variety of different GIS softwares. So if you're married to this one software and you use it and it's familiar to you and you want to augment with one of our products, we're happy with that. We're going to play nice. We accept all of the popular file formats. Of course, we have our own proprietary ones, but we accept everything, all the normal ones, as well as some pretty niche ones, and then we export to those products as well. So pretty inclusive in that sense. I'll give you a quick idea of how it would go. Let's say I'm a tourism department and I want to take the data that I've gotten from the city and I want to publish a beautiful map that's going to be available for the local park. So I've got some raw data when it's like street data, I've got building data, I've got the park start, the park finish. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that geospatial data into Map Publisher. I'm going to make a beautiful map. I'm going to bring in some aerial imagery that I have. I'm going to overlay all of our point line area data in there. I'm going to add some beautiful text, maybe some contours. We can do some knockouts. And then I'm going to add a hill shade. I'm going to add my custom, if I'm in the desert, I'm in a desert community, then I'm going to use a custom color ramp that reflects that sort of environment. I'm going to do that in Geographic Imager, and then I'm done. I've got my base product. I'm going to send that to the map store, make it publicly available to users that are coming to visit the area. So you can make it for free, or you can make it at a cost, and you can make a quick buck. And then my users are going to go into the Avenza Maps app, because I'm going to post this on my website, or I'm going to put a QR code up at the park entrance. They're going to download that map ahead of time, and they can go and enjoy the trails. If I'm going to use this as a crowdsourcing opportunity, then I'm going to make a repository where users can then kind of dump the information that they're collecting. If there's a couple people going out in the field and they're recording their tracks, they're going along the different trails because they want to either create a new trail, or someone noticed a new lookout and they want to add that feature to the existing map. What we can do is it becomes a cycle. So you can send that data into the data manager. They can put it into the map and then update it live to the store. And then you can update your customers saying there's a new version of this map out. why don't you go check it out? So this becomes a pretty fluid cycle if you buy into the whole solution, and then you can plug in different softwares as you go. But our platform is that we want to do everything. So Map Publisher, I've told you a little bit about it, but that's our vector environment within Adobe Illustrator. So what we wanted to do is give you the ability to create beautiful maps within Adobe Illustrator. It's so much more approachable to our graphic designers that have no GIS background. So it's tough because I come from a GIS background, so it's easy for me to just get bogged down with terminology, and they're just like, I just trace usually. And so we have to have something that's familiar to them while still retaining that spatial information. So if they're getting funneled information from their department and they don't really know how to use it, this is a good marriage between those two tools. Map Publisher is one of a kind. It's the only one of its breed. It's the cartographic standard. So think of any of the cartographers that make beautiful maps. The most beautiful maps, they use Map Publisher. I can almost guarantee it. If you hit me up with an example, and I can get back to you and tell you if they're a customer or not. But it's the cartographic standard because it adds that polished touch to a map, because a regular GIS will only get you so far. This gives you a lot more capabilities. You can use only Map Publisher tools. You can use only Adobe tools. At the end of the day, you're still going to end up with a gorgeous map. So Geographic Imager is our raster tool, though we do have some new vector capabilities. We can import points, lines, and areas and text. So that one's new. It's a plugin for Adobe Photoshop. And I like to use it as a georeferencer. It's pretty quick. You can do it I can do it in about 4 minutes. I can georeference a whole map. So what this is pretty popular with is hunters. What they want to do is they want to just take a screenshot of Google Maps and they want to georeference where they're allowed to hunt. So those boundary lines, or if a forester is going out and they get paid by the area that they cut down, or if it's a solar farm engineer, they're going out and they're in a blank space. They have no idea where all this stuff is going to be built. They basically have a drawing from their engineers. What they can do is georeference that, because usually there's in the 4 corners, there's going to be the coordinates to that. It's really quick to georeference that, bring it straight into the Avenza Maps app, and then get to work. So it's kind of that intermediary tool between your dumb map to getting it into the Avenza Maps app. And then it's also a really nice finishing tool if you want to do some color corrections or you want to add your own specific color ramps. Then the Avenza Maps app. This is the meat and potatoes of our business. It's a pretty cool software because it has all these capabilities while being completely offline. If you set up your maps ahead of time going into the field, you can turn your data off. You don't have to be dependent on Wi-Fi connection. It means that you can do all of your data collection, and if you get lost, you know exactly where you are. You've got the GPS coordinates, and then it will pair up with your external GPS. So if you need to get down to that sub-centimeter accuracy, you've got the capabilities. And again, as I mentioned, it works on mobile devices, so that's iOS and Android. So if you want to work with something a little bit bigger, get one of those big screen tablets, get an external keyboard, and get to work. As long as it has a GPS chip, it's going to work. And Avenza Maps, this product was the first one to support geospatial PDF import. So we've got that claim to fame. And so the features of the Avenza Maps app, so I'll go over these. There's many more than this. It's all available online, but these are kind of the highlights. As I mentioned, it's completely offline. Once you set up your maps, you can either import, get it from the map store. You can get to work. You can do this all offline. All of the tools are available. It means that you're not dependent on cell service or Wi-Fi. You can import your custom maps. This is great for users that do have those specific drawings, or maybe it's a site that hasn't even been developed. It's just a blank field that you're walking into. It gives you the ability to see your specific information on your phone, so you can see what's pertinent to you. So maybe Joe Blow going out in the field doesn't need to know that there's pipelines running underneath him. But if I'm going out and I'm digging a new trench for dropping utilities, I need to know where the utilities are underneath me. So if you can lay that on the map ahead of time, It means that you can get to work and you don't have to take extra precautions to avoid those. You can drop place marks, so that's point signs, areas. You can record your GPS tracks, you can export that. You can calculate lines and areas. So if you want to calculate where there's like ponding, for example, you can walk around the ponding, calculate that to an area. Excuse me. So you can transform that into an area and run calculations based off that. If you go back the next week, you walk around the pond, say it's 20 square meters less. You've got your data, you can run reports based on that. One of the most important features when it comes to adding information to the map is adding photos. Behind the photos, you can add a ton of attributes. You can fill out a whole attribute schema based on that. But it means that you can, if there's something that you can't describe by filling out an attribute form, you take a picture of it. Say like, this solar panel is broken. There's a pipe loose. There's a bajillion pipes that are connected to this solar panel. How are you going to differentiate which one's which? Or maybe you can't explain it properly. So you just snap a picture, and then the next guy that goes out to repair it can reference that photo and they know exactly what to fix. Import spatial data. So as I mentioned, we play nice. We can import lots of different kinds of data formats, all the basic ones, shapefile, KMLs, anything that has sort of spatial reference. GPX, if you've already recorded some tracks with your GPS unit, you can import that into the map. And you can export that out as well. So you can export to CSV, run a report based on the attributes that you've collected. It's a pretty easy process to do that. Geofences is one of our newer tools. Not many people know about it, and I think it's one of the coolest things that we have. So it's on entry or exit of a point line or area that you've marked as a geofence, and you can set a buffer for it too. So if I'm a forester, I'm going out in the field, I need to avoid cutting trees down on someone's private property. I'm going to draw a geofence, and I'm going to have my phone, Avenza Maps running, close the screen, put it in my pocket, put it away, put my headphones in, listen to music, and then get to work. When I approach that buffer, my phone's going to ping me saying, you're approaching the buffer, you're approaching the geofence. You sure you want to keep going? And you can actually manually set that up so it warns you as you get closer to this geofence. You can do the same thing for points. If there's a well that you need to avoid, or if you just want to go off-roading and you don't want to get lost, you can set up a buffer for like 10 meters on either side of a trail, and it will let you know when you're straying off that trail maybe. So the last one, I mentioned export data in a GIS software. So you can export it back to your GIS. You can export it to other users when you're out in the field. Obviously, that's dependent on cell service, but if it's iOS to iOS, they play really nicely. So you can send it to an Apple device to an Apple device. So this part is where we get into the search and rescue side. So we mentioned that preparedness is one of the most important ways to prevent accidents and emergency situations. So we ask that our tourism customers put their maps in the map store, put links to this on their website, so that when people are going out to these trails that they may not be familiar with, they're able to pull the map down and they can maybe look at it on their phone. They're lost, they pull out their phone, they see, oh, there's my little blue dot on this custom map. I know what trail to take to get back to my car. So, excuse me, we also ask that our customers put it on their welcome sign to the park. So pop a little QR code, you can scan that and get on your way. Avenza Maps for search and rescue. This is the most important part of my talk today. This is pretty popular with firefighting, hurricane relief, aerial rescues. So if you're hiking, you're skiing, you're snowboarding, you get lost, you fall down, you have to let people know where you are. If you can't do that because your cell service won't work, you can't pull up Google Maps, how else are you going to do it? So we've paired with Australian wildfire fighters, as well as CAL FIRE last year. We provided them with some licenses to get to work and do the important work that they were doing when these wildfires were raging. Hurricane relief, that was North Carolina in 2016 and 2018. We provided licenses to them, and they imported their own custom symbology. So they had custom symbol sets for this house was checked once, this house was checked twice, this house was checked a third time. And then that data was pushed out every single day saying, please download this new live app. I'm sorry, this new live map. So this is the newest information that's available to the search and rescue operatives. So this one is probably the most exciting. So this gentleman from Duluth, he had a tough day at work. He dropped his wife, pregnant wife, and 2 boys off at the airport and wanted to go on a bike ride. He went on a bike ride, and about 15 minutes in, he went over a drop and he fell, hit his head, and he was wearing a helmet, which was great, and noticed that he was paralyzed from the waist down. So he couldn't move. He was in a nightmare situation. He was alone. He wasn't aware of the area. Thank God he had access to his phone. He was able to pull it out and dial 911. He let them know, I'm on this trail. I really don't know where I am. And luckily enough, another rider came along him and was able to get back to where the search and rescue officers were at the start of the trail, and was able to pinpoint on Avenza Maps where this user was. So he was able to. Back of it. He was actually part of the committee that was maintaining the trails. So he knew the trail system extensively. So it was really helpful that he had Avenza Maps in his toolkit to be able to not only maintain those trails, but to be able to save this man's life. Because if he didn't come across him, if they didn't have Avenza Maps at their disposal, maybe they wouldn't have made it to him in time. So after this, the city of Duluth, police department, the Minnesota DNR has implemented Avenza Maps as a mandatory app for their services. So what happens is the Duluth GIS department will put out a map into the map store. People will download it, they'll use it. A call will come in. So through the 911 system, they can pinpoint where that person is. They enter that into the app. They can see, oh yeah, I can fit a UTV down this. I can't fit that. I'm gonna have to bring some chainsaws. They know exactly the best way to meet that person and save them. So what 3 words? I'm glad I have a little bit of time to talk about this, but this is kind of the newest and greatest thing. It's this company from the UK. They've only recently come to North America. What they basically did is they divided the whole world into 3 square meter squares. So the whole world is divided up into this grid, and everyone is given 3 separate words. So this one is brave twins hottest. And this comes in handy when you want to make addresses more approachable to people. So I know that Wisconsin is famous for its beaches. So when users when you want to go out and enjoy the beach, your best friend says, hey, meet me at the Wisconsin beach that's super popular. And you say, that beach is huge. Where am I going to meet you? Instead of saying like, oh, near the sandy bit by the water, you can say, remember Buffalo Imagined. And then I know the exact square set that you are, and I can meet you directly there. Or if you want to go to a concert and you don't know what door to meet your friend or where you're going to do the pickup for the tickets, you can just say the square set ramming spinning mount, instead of saying like, oh, you know, the door that's kind of blue and that creepy guy hangs out there. It gives you so much more control over the information that you're sharing with your friends, and then makes it less frustrating and a safer world. So what 3 words we've incorporated? It's super easy to search, sort of like how you would search for coordinates. And it also does an autocomplete based on where you are. So it will automatically kind of give you an option of what they think you're doing. So that's a little movie there for you. And then our partners. So I've got 2 pages of this, but there's so many more than this. We're good friends and working with Saffron and Garmin to incorporate that into the app. And we've actually partnered with Trimble. So our products, our software and their hardware is very friendly, and we've become a big part of they've become a big part of our user base. National Geographic, US Forest Service, New York Times, Washington Post, they are all map publisher users. They make beautiful maps. Obviously Adobe, our best friend. CAL FIRE, US Forest Service, these are partnering organizations. A lot of these are firefighting services. The ACT in Australia, they are one of our biggest clients. They help to fight wildfires as well as other emergencies. National Park Service, USGS, they all use our systems to make beautiful maps. Okay, so then this is my email. If I can't answer your question here, please shoot me an email if you have, if you want any question, or if you want any more information about the app, about the desktop products. Feel free to send me an email. I'm happy to go over more of this with you and run an online demo. So that's it.
Great, thank you so much, Alex. We have a few questions. One, is there a free version of the Avenza map or app?
Yes, so the app is free. The app is completely free. You can download it now. You can go out. Our rec users, we have over 1 million downloads, completely free to use. If you are a rec user, if you are a professional user, if you're using it for work, we have enterprise options available.
Great. And kind of going off that, is there a demo version of the map publisher for Adobe Illustrator software?
Yes. Yep. So for our desktop products, we offer a 14-day free trial, and free means free. We don't take down your credit card, so you can go for it, and you don't have to worry that we're gonna ding you at the end of it if you don't want us to. But yeah, it's because it lives inside the Adobe suite, you have to make sure that you have Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, and they offer free trials as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. I think that is all for our questions. So again, thank you so much. This is really cool, and we appreciate you presenting to the state of Wisconsin.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.